Hey, my friend.
Hello. Is this
Hello
how
there.
this works?
Yeah,
Okay.
wait, is your first time, Rachel?
Well, I've done lives by myself, but not like with another person. So, yes, this is my first time. And then, okay, here we go. My friend, Andrea. Nice to see you, Andrea. She's here. She was waiting. She's like, I don't see it yet. And I'm like, we haven't started. Sorry. Um,
Awesome. Andrea got to join. Shout out to Andrea.
yes. Yes, absolutely. Shout out to Andrea.
Awesome.
Jerome, it's so nice to see you.
Oh, it's nice to be seen, you know? It's a beautiful time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just thank you for joining us today. Thank you for coming on and making the time, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's kind of interesting because I'm like, I don't know where this conversation is going to go, but I'm definitely open to wherever it goes.
Oh,
So
yeah, and we'll let it flow, you know? That's how it goes, that's how it grows. Yeah.
perfect,
It always
perfect.
is, for sure. You know, I was wondering, what has transpired, do you feel, that has been significant in your life, or anything life-changing since we hung out on the hammock?
Hmm. Well, it's just okay. So life changing since we hung out at the hammock. That was in Austin, Texas, which is a beautiful. Um, I loved the energy there in Austin.
Mhm.
And I want to say since then, I've just been continuing to travel west. I'm now in California,
Okay.
East Bay.
Okay.
Um, this is where I used to live. I lived here for like 14 years. And I'm like closing up shop here. I'm completing this chapter of my life. It is completely done.
Yeah.
So that has been like the most interesting thing to return to a place that I once called home and recognize that it's no longer that for
Mm,
me.
okay.
Um, and then, yeah, there's been quite a bit, so I don't exactly know
Yeah.
how to answer
And when
that.
did you call California home? When was that?
From like 2008 to 2021.
Okay, so for quite some time.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, for quite some time. Yeah.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and then just kind of coming to the understanding, especially since now I've traveled, in my car, I've driven a complete circle around the United States.
Mm,
And so in doing that, I've definitely been able to feel where parts of the United States are more supportive for me as
mhm.
far as my energy and how I operate and feel best and feel more comfortable. Um, and so I definitely love the East Coast energy for myself. It's definitely like where I know I belong.
Mm.
It's where I'm most supported. Excuse me,
Okay.
in just my own energy and just feeling comfortable and feeling at home. And of course, obviously, the goal is to always feel at home inside of our hearts, right? That's like the hugest thing. But I do now I'm a firm believer in the different energies of the land also playing a part in how we feel.
Mhm.
And so I think that's been the biggest takeaway for me. And so if anybody watching this is like been curious about traveling and experiencing different parts, I would definitely like encourage them to, because you never really understand until you go and experience it, like
Right.
how it feels for you.
Right, right. So
Yeah.
when you talk about the East Coast energy, Rachel, are you talking about places like I know in Vermont?
Hmm.
Okay, so like places like the Maya Healing Center.
Yes.
Okay, could you talk about, Dr. Jeanette, like how did that happen in your life, and where was that crossroads for you?
So that happened because I was literally following my internal guidance.
Okay.
My internal compass was like, okay, we know we want to be on the East Coast, just not quite sure where. And it's like, okay, so where do I go now? And so I received guidance, go north. Okay, great. I'll just keep driving north. And then I remembered because I had looked up retreat centers on the East Coast before I even left California,
Hmm.
and I had found the Maya Center, right? And I was looking at it. I was like, oh, it's too far north from where I want to actually drive. So I just kind of like out of sight, out of mind, kind of forgot about it. And then when I was closer to that area, I was like, oh, wait, that's right. There was this retreat center. Let me try and find it again. I couldn't remember the name whatsoever. So I just started like on my Google Maps, like, okay, I remember it was on an island between New York and Vermont. Where was it? And so I ended up finding it. And when I left a message, I called, left a message, nobody answered. That's fine. And then I just like, oh, I'm like 40 minutes away. Let me just go drive and just go and see and talk to the person, whatever. And then I get there and nobody's home. Like nobody's home. And I'm like, oh, okay. Minus a big, huge Great Dane Mastiff dog who's like in the house barking at me, and the doors are the doors are open minus like
Wide
the
open?
screen doors, right, wide open, everything, but the dog's there and nobody's home. I'm like, hello, anybody here? So I'm about to leave. I'm literally pulling out of the driveway when she pulls back in. um so we ended up talking, and she's like, all right, you can stay, let me like she had extra room at that time. And it was literally realizing that it was the right place, the right time, because if I had showed up earlier, if I'd shown up later, it would have been a completely different story. And the Maya Healing Center was a place for me to receive healing that, it was very deep healing, a lot of things that I am still like unpacking to this day, meaning like I recognize that a lot had transpired, a lot had gone on that I'm still unconscious of. So there's still more to like unravel.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Wow.
which has been, it's just been a journey. Like life is a journey for sure.
For sure.
um,
Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. So it's like it was it was almost like destiny, you know?
Definitely. Yes. Yes. Definitely. Um, and man, like there was so much that was happening that I don't even know. Like, okay, what do I share? What do I say? Do you have more questions? That's always
Yeah, I
helpful.
mean, it sounds like your paths, completely coincided. It was like you said, if you had been a little bit early or a little bit late, it wouldn't have been the same conclusion, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it was interesting too because as I was driving, I would get my guidance to, stop at a certain place, like pull over for a little bit, and just, I would do it. Sometimes I wouldn't actually. Sometimes I wouldn't listen.
Mhm.
Um, but then my question was always like, okay, so why am I here? What am I doing? And it was literally just alignment, 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 alignment. You stop at, this park just to receive sun codes, light codes, codes for anything, and it's just to align you to your next thing, to your next step.
Yeah.
And so that's what I felt like was going on when I was showing up there, because even before showing up, I was getting so like fatigued and tired where I had to stop and rest. Like there was no way I could have done anything unless I had taken a nap. And so those naps were like little mini alignments, helping me adjust my energy, helping me shift my energy into the vibration that I needed in order to be in alignment with that path, with that, with that path moving forward.
Wow. I love that. I love that. So it was like that moment of meditation or relaxation puts you in a new vibration.
Yes, yes,
That
absolutely.
that is awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome because we do hear this word, Rachel, thrown around a lot when it comes to alignment,
Mm-hmm.
feeling like you've been given an assignment in life, that you're on the right path, you're on the right track. But what do you feel like for you it means to be divinely supported, to have something that is looking out for you almost?
Mm. Well, for me, to be divinely supported is, it's really much a peace and like rest in my heart that literally everything is okay. Like literally everything is perfect. It's fine. It's all divine. Because one of the things that I've heard multiple times, especially from people that I know or don't know, strangers, as I've expressed, like, oh yeah, just casually taking a road trip around the United States. They're like, oh, you're so brave, And I'm like, well, it just is. But I know I got my, giant energetic team of support. They're guiding me and protecting me. Like literally, I can imagine like it's like angels or my energy beings just like surrounding my car and protecting me. And if I didn't feel safe, I wouldn't stop at a certain place. If I didn't feel like I was okay to be somewhere, I wouldn't be there. I would just continue driving until I found the place that supported me feeling safe and comfortable and good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Wow. And when you talk about, having that spirit team, like having angels looking out for you in the outfield, would you say that there is a difference between guidance and intuition, or do they go hand in hand?
to me, they're very much hand in hand. At least, for me, because my intuition. Well, okay, so let me think about this. Intuition for me is like um, it's like I receive information before an actual event or before something actually happens. And it can either be like supportive and like, oh, that's a good thing, or it can be that like nagging pit in your stomach and you're like, I don't really feel like that's good. To me, that is also a way of receiving guidance. But I do think that there are, we have our spirit guides that are beings in different dimensions that help us travel through our life path here on earth.
Mm.
Um, and they're, my understanding of guides is that they are like we've somehow signed up, to support each other and to be guides for each other. And they are, um, they're different from angels, I want to say, where angels we kind of understand are on a whole different frequency, whereas guides are like I could have a guide from a different planet or a different galaxy that's helping me navigate here on Earth, but in that galaxy's dimension.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So it's very nuanced. It gets deep.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Wow.
Definitely.
Wow. There's a lot more that meets the eye. And it's like for anyone who have had feelings that were revealing for them, but they didn't know anything about spirit guides or the angelic realm or different beings that were assisting, you know, how do you feel you might have had a sense that all these things were existing, in your realm of reality? Like, where did you hit that point where you said, "Oh wow, like I'm not just it's not just me here. There's a lot more around." You know?
Well, if I understand your question correctly, the point really is like I began to feel things, like almost like I was like if I'm holding a ball, right? I could feel the ball that I'm holding. It would have a texture, it would have a temperature, it would have kind of just like a flow with it. And that's where I started to open up to my senses of, I don't know what clair that is, but it's one of the clair senses, right? It's just
The
it's
feeling.
a way. Yeah.
It sounds
uh
like clairsentience.
yeah, clairsentience, but I understand that one to be more of like I guess for me clairsentience is I feel it in my body, whereas this is I'm feeling outside of my body.
Okay, okay, okay. Almost like a psychic, like telemetry. Being able to touch an object and you're getting a reading on something that's outside of you, externally.
Mm. Yes. Yeah, I want to. Yes, something similar to that. I've actually never heard of that one before. The clear. What did you? How do you say it?
I believe it's like a telemetry. Being like
Telemetry.
touching objects and getting a reading on something external from you. Picking
Yeah.
up on the energy.
Yeah. Yes, that I have experienced where you pick up, like, say, you go to the thrift store and you pick up something that's like a couple hundred years old or something, and you just start to receive information about this object. And so it could be all kinds of, wide variety of whatever information. I've experienced that myself. I've also heard of people that, when they pick up books, they can feel what the author was feeling when they were writing the book, like down to like really the details of the emotions, the details of like they were going through X, Y, and Z with their spouse or with their parent or anything like that. So I don't experience that with books, but I do feel that with objects and also like plants. Like right now, I'm standing right next to a tree, right? I love trees. I love grounding with trees because of exactly that. Like they have a certain energy that we could feel, especially if we tap in and tune into it. Um, and it's all a matter of like being still with our own self and including our thoughts, like releasing all of the thoughts, releasing all of the emotions, and just coming to a state of neutrality within our own being, within our own system, so that then we can start to recognize the other emotions. We can start to feel, and it's tuning the radio station. We all know this. You tune the radio station to pick up a certain frequency, and that's exactly what we're doing here.
Okay. Okay. I love it. I love it. When it came to tuning in that way, being on that frequency, or acquiring that radio station, do you feel like your intuition unlocked by way of something that you acquired or something that you released? Something that you took on or something you let go?
Oh, definitely something I let go of. Definitely that. Because I feel like, again, I'm going to speak what's true for me, and that's it. I feel like as a child growing up, I took on everybody else's emotions. I took on everybody else's vibrations. Um, and so it was in the letting go of everybody else's patterns, everybody else's programs, everybody else's ways of thinking that I was able to open up deeper to my senses. Because I was numb for a very long time, just numb to everything. Like, never cried, never got angry, just numb. Um, and so it was in the process of my own healing that I started to open up and starting to feel. And then, like, when you actually start to feel something from being numb for so long, you're like, what is this? Oh my goodness. And so it's kind of been that. And okay, something was coming up for me as far as like the vibration. This is something that I don't hear a lot from other people, is how when we are um, an egg inside of our mother, inside of her ovary, we are actually vibrational beings at this point. And so we're literally feeling all of the vibrations that our mother is feeling. We're feeling all of the vibrations that are around her as well. So this is where like a lot of my releasing has come from, because I recognized how I was holding on to the vibrational traumas from my mother, from my siblings, from everybody like that came before me, that I wasn't even there consciously for. I was just literally an egg inside of my mother feeling these vibrationally.
Mm. Wow. Wow. So it wasn't even something that was your own doing. You were just absorbing.
Right, right, right.
Wow. Wow. When it comes to, like you were saying earlier, Rachel, the feeling of numbness, you know,
Mm-hmm.
what do you feel like people underestimate about how emotions get stored in the body and how they can stay there for like a long time?
um yeah, literally, I think everyone, I really feel like we are still learning how deep it goes and how really truly these emotions are stored in us. So it's like people that have irrational fears, right? So say someone has an irrational fear of dogs, right? They've never once in this lifetime been bit. They've never once in this lifetime had a bad encounter with a dog, but they have that irrational fear. That is a carryover from a past lifetime. That is a carryover from, say, somebody else in their lineage that they knew. That is like literally been passed down or held in the cellular remembrance of their DNA that causes that fear.
Okay. Okay. And is this something that somehow gets assimilated into our identity?
Um, well, if they take it like that, right? So if you say, "Oh, I'm afraid of dogs," which I actually used to be afraid of dogs as a child, for again no reason other than just afraid of dogs. I've gotten over that now, but having that irrational fear, if you hold on to that identity, then yes, that is part of your identity. This is where there's a lot of work to do to release all of the identities that aren't true to you, that aren't actually authentic to your heart and your soul. Because when we come down to it, the truth of who we are is we are love. We're unconditional love, not just love, unconditional love, meaning I love you no matter what. I love you no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter who you are. I love you all the same. And the hardest thing for me is to express that back to myself. I love myself no matter what. I love myself no matter what I've been through. I love myself no matter what I said or didn't say or thought I should say. I love myself no matter what, and that is like that is self love, and it's taken some time to get there.
Wow. Wow. Thank goodness, thank goodness we've arrived. I love
Yeah. Yes.
the light shine in your eyes, when you talk about love and you talk about something so unconditional, you know? It's you feel it. You really do feel it. And
Yes.
wow, Rachel, when you talked about how taking on something in your identity that's not even yours, how would you advise somebody to shed something that's not even theirs?
You literally ask yourself the question: Is this mine? Do I align with this? Is this true for me? And then the question, you'll get one or two answers back. No, this isn't mine. Great. It's as simple as now just letting it go. Like, why would I continue holding on to something that's not mine? I can just let it go, drop it. If it is yours, if you get the answer like, yes, this is actually mine, the follow up question to that is, okay, great. What do you want to do about it?
Mm.
What do you want to do with that thing? Do you want to continue holding on to it and having it be exactly the same, or do you want to like start working on softening and releasing and changing things up? Um,
Wow. Wow. So that's how we begin. It's like they say how questions are the answer.
Yes, yes. Questions definitely set you free. The right questions, especially, um, release you from certain thought patterns inside your own psyche, inside your own brain. When you're able to ask a question in the right way, it expands you, right? And it opens you up to like, oh, well, if this is true, then what about this? And what about that? And then the list just keeps going on and on and on.
Yeah. Yeah. It just keeps compounding, it keeps expounding. And what was one of the most profound questions that you feel opened you up when it comes to setting you free, as it were? I like your pun there. I like that. Like what
Yeah.
the most profound questions in that way for you?
Um, it really started with the basic of belief, is this belief authentic for me? Is this something that I am choosing to believe or that I was taught to believe? And that was a huge one. Um, after that, I'm like, what else? Because there are quite a bit. Um, because there were times that I would recognize I was repeating a pattern or I was playing out a pattern that I was like, wait, why am I doing this? This isn't me. This isn't who I am. Like literally during 2020, right? Standing at the cupboard, open bag of cookies, chips, crackers, whatever, and just chowing down. Like, I'm like, why am I doing this? This isn't me. This isn't my pattern, but it's a pattern I was playing out. And I was able to identify it as one of my siblings. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this isn't my pattern. I can let this go. I don't need to be enacting this pattern. I don't need to be continuing this pattern. I can choose to stop. I can choose to pause this. I can choose to make a different choice, especially when you're like, when you have that awareness in the moment. That is your time that you're actually rewiring your nervous system, you're rewiring your brain. When you come into that awareness and you're able to stop, pause, do something different, that is the rewiring process.
Wow, wow. And I would actually love to hear even more about how you were able to rewire when you were in those moments. You know, like you said, you were at the cupboard, you're asking yourself, is this me? Like, why? This isn't me. And I remember seeing something you were saying that at 25, you were like 250, 250
Yeah,
at 25. And
yeah.
there were things surrounding, like you hated taking pictures. There was a lot of, the low self-worth. So how did that paradigm shift for you?
Um, a lot of self work, like self reflection, self understanding, like actually um, taking so doing basically the opposite of what I was doing, which is whenever I would see a mirror, just like ignoring it. Like I'm not even going to look at myself, right? So taking a moment, stopping, looking myself in the eyes in the mirror, right? And being like, all right, girl, I love you. Like we got this. Um, a lot of affirmations, because one of the things I certainly never experienced growing up was those positive affirmations of you're wonderful, you're brave, you're amazing, oh my goodness, like look at what you can do. It's more of like the low self-esteem affirmations that again I don't even know at this point because I've changed those up. But some still pop in every once in a while. I definitely remember there were times not even that long ago, like sometimes this year, I would wake up and I would be in anger and hatred towards myself, where I would look at myself in the mirror and be like, I hate you. And like feel that and express that. And then it's like, okay, wait a second. I actually don't. I actually love myself. And then taking that time to rewire that and reestablish that love connection inside of me versus that anger and hatred, because a lot of times we collect vibrations from other people, us especially us women in our relationships with men. We actually receive through intercourse, through that connection, their energy.
Mm,
So whatever they're going through, we actually receive and feel that. Um, which is why we're so psychic when it comes to certain things that they don't want us to know. It's like, well, I know it anyway because I just do. Um, so I had received in different relationships a lot of anger and a lot of hatred. And again, like now knowing what I know now, it's not even theirs. Like it's something that they got passed down through their lineage. And it was all survival. It's just what our ancestors had to do to survive. And I am currently switching up the surviving into thriving. I'm done with the survival. I am into thriving. Um, and that's what I'm manifesting in my life now. It's just I get to thrive. I don't need to survive anymore. It's a totally new age. It's a totally new time. Um, we're not going hungry. We're not going cold. We got plenty of water. We got plenty of everything that we need. Um, so yeah, like switching that up.
powerful. I love it. I love it, and there's so much energy, behind all the words that you speak. And I love what you were saying as well, Rachel, when it came to, taking that step back, rewinding, rewiring. and reflecting, for more connecting and less projecting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
it's like often we are getting what we're expecting, because you were talking about there were affirmations that you had before, but they were negative affirmations versus the positive affirmations that kind of brought you more into that self-love and that self-worth. So when it came to your positive affirmations, do you feel like you were mostly writing them, speaking them, or just thinking them?
It was a combination of having written them. So I had my top five.
Mm-hmm.
I had made a list, my top five. And then I remember I posted it in a cupboard that was in my work. So I would see it regularly. And then it was repeating them out loud, and either out loud when I could or just in my mind. Um, and then um, yeah, it was the repetition of seeing it and speaking it. I only had to write it a few times, but for me, writing is a whole thing for me. So the fewer I can, whatever, the less I have to write, the better. Um, and see, even that is an affirmation right there. So it's like, just switch that up. I don't need that anymore. I'm actually a really good writer. I actually have a lot to express. Um, and I just do it in different ways. So um, I'm learning what those ways are. I don't have to sit and like literally write out a list of my affirmations, but for some people that works. And so if it works for you, do it.
Yeah.
What worked for me was I would actually write my affirmations on my mirror. So I would see it every morning, I would see it every evening, brushing my teeth, repeating these in my head as I'm brushing my teeth. Brushing your teeth, if you're in the habit of brushing your teeth, it's a great time and space to add on more habits, especially the self worth habits, looking yourself in the eyes, sending yourself love, repeating these positive affirmations. Because I had a business coach and that's how it helped, or that's where it started, is the business coach. And the affirmation was, I am a person who is blank, and you just fill in the blank.
Mm.
So for me, I took it a step further because I did not feel like I was feminine or dainty or anything like that. I felt very much like masculine, clumsy, blah. And so I wrote, I am a feminine woman who is blank. I am a feminine woman who is healthy. I'm a feminine woman who eats for my health. That was a huge one, because especially coming from 250 pounds, eating, just eating, mindlessly eating, to have that affirmation of I eat to be healthy, it would be like, okay, I reach for something and I'm like, wait a second, is this me eating to be healthy, or is this me eating for my emotions? And so
Mm.
I was able to put things down when it wasn't actually in alignment with me to be eating.
Mhm.
Um,
That's powerful. That's powerful. You know,
yeah,
Thank you for sharing that testimony, because, we've all been tested in different ways. And it's like when you have an arsenal of affirmations to reframe and reclaim, you know,
yes,
the things that go on, all the time. Like they say, subconscious, it's below the level of our conscious awareness.
yes,
So it's like they say, in order to change the fruit, we have to change the root, you know,
yes,
what's going on
yes,
before. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Um, and I think too, understanding your roots is really helpful, because if you want a fruit that is not of the root, you can't expect anything less. Like, seriously, if you're looking for an avocado but you're a peach tree, mm,
You're gonna be looking for a while.
you are. So that's where you also need to accept your roots and who you are at your core, who you truly are in your heart, and learn to love that. Because if we were all peach trees or all avocado trees, the world would be so boring. We would not love it at all. So it's so wonderful when we have so many different people with so many different flavors, so many different things, and when they take ownership of that, when they actually um, take it into their core and they're like, yes, I love that I'm a peach tree. And I love that not everyone loves peaches, because, I just love I love me and I love being able to produce these beautiful fruit for the people that love the fruit.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. You know, it's like adding in your spice. Like they say, variety is the spice of life. You know,
Yes,
everyone has
yes,
their own seasoning. We all got our own sauce, you know.
yes,
And man, you know, when it comes to putting the work in within your that structure, so creating a new foundation with all your affirmations,
yes.
would you feel like when it when you said you had a top five, you had top five affirmations, and what was one that you remember saying like over and over, and how long do you feel like it took you to reframe?
Um, I definitely feel like the top one was eating to be healthy.
Okay.
And that was huge. And I do remember a few times when it did like finally click of like, oh, yes, I am eating this because it is healthy for me, because it is in alignment with my health and what I feel is healthy. Because we all have our own definition of health. Okay, great. We understand this. Um, I want to say actively working on it, maybe about 6 months.
Okay.
Um, and then, like, even now for me, affirmations have kind of like come and gone, right? Where it's like, okay, there was a time in my life I was really into the affirmations, really much like speaking them, expressing them, all of these things. And then now, not so much because they are in there subconsciously a lot more than what they were. Now, that's not to say I won't go back to affirmations because I do actually think that they are really powerful to help us reprogram ourselves. So, especially like if you've been programmed by other people and you need to hear your own voice and need to um, you have that desire and that need to reprogram yourself, affirmations are super powerful because it is literally you are taking charge and setting your own program.
Right. 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 And you know, they say like repetition is the mother of skill. I've heard this so
Yes.
many times. And like consistency is the DNA of mastery. You know, saying something
Yes.
over and over and over again ad nauseum. And you know, when it comes to something so like healing and revealing for some, what do you feel like stops most people? Because even the act of looking at yourself in the mirror, you said before you couldn't do it. There was a time where you couldn't look at yourself.
Right.
So how healing was it for you to be able to gaze into your eyes and speak those words? Why do you feel like most people are afraid or
Um, so you're cutting out a little bit there, but I think I understand what you're saying. Um, I feel like it is a self worth issue when we aren't able to actually look at ourselves in the eyes and tell ourselves that we love us. And it's one of those things that probably wasn't mirrored to you as a child, meaning you didn't see anybody in your life doing that. And that was certainly true for me. I never once witnessed the people in my life giving themselves that self love, giving themselves that self praise. A lot of times it's always like, um, belittling themselves or, being sorry for no reason. Like I love telling people now, it's like, there's no reason to be sorry. You don't got to be sorry, especially, and I still catch myself saying sorry. And one of the things that I did for that is reprogram sorry to thank you. Instead of saying sorry, thank you. Thank you for your patience instead of sorry, I'm late. Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for understanding me. Thank you for giving me space to think, to pause, to breathe. Um, yeah, okay. I feel like I got lost,
no,
but
I love that. You know, it's giving yourself that space as well. You also give that to other people, you know? So being an intuitive guide, being a cheerleader in that way, holding space for others, what have been some of the transformational things that you've been able to see in other people when you allow them to give themselves like, or you hold that container for them to give themselves the gift of their own self-love.
Yeah, you see huge transformations. You see big shifts. There's so much that happens when, especially, as a practitioner, as someone who's here to guide, to help, to support, when I am able to, and it's taken a lot of practice and a lot of time to get here, when I'm able to literally just hold space without projecting onto the person, without, because it is so easy for us to project onto the person of, oh, they're feeling this and this triggers this in me, so therefore they have to be feeling X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, 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 no. When you let go of that, that's your ego speaking. When you let go of that and you literally just witness their pain, what they're expressing, what they need, huge, huge shifts, life-changing shifts. It's very transformative, very and they'll see it, they'll recognize it, they're able to, it's like something clicks inside the brain, something shifts, they're able to be like, oh wow, okay, this is why I'm feeling this way, and they get to the root of how it happened or where like it came from. um
One,
and that is one of those things that I just, that's what I, that's the thing that sparks the most joy in me as I'm helping others, is hearing and seeing those shifts, being able to witness those shifts for somebody. And it's literally just observing it and not trying to project onto it, not trying to attach to it, not trying to be like, again, well, this is, not, yeah, you're not trying to project your own wounds or your own vibration. Really, you're in a neutral state and you're allowing them to feel whatever they need to feel in order to heal, because that is the magic. You have to feel it to heal it.
yes, yes. That's what seals the deal, you know?
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
love it. And you know what? I love what you put on your bio as well. The cheerleader. You're like, I'm your
Yeah.
cheerleader. Because it doesn't
Yeah.
sound, you're not here to hold their hand and like make them, do it for them. You're cheering them on. You're like rooting for
Right.
them, you know?
Right. Yeah. And that is why I put it on there, is because I do feel like a lot of times as we're on our path, we don't get that encouragement, that we really, most of us need. Just the, good job, keep going, you're doing awesome. Or just like, even like I'm remembering back to like high school, right? Football games of defense, defense. It's just a nice way of bringing in the whole crowd to really amp up the energy, to really help the players out. Like that is something that is proven, I'm pretty sure, in games, that when the crowd is amped up and feeling, the team gets energy from that. They're tuning into that energy and receiving big energy from it.
100%. 100%. I agree. So giving that energy, and living that energy. I love it. I love it. And how do you feel like you're able to find the balance between giving that energy to others, allowing that space, holding that container, and also keeping your cup filled up, so you can maintain that.
Yeah, that has been a journey of what keeps me filled up. Has been one of the first questions I had to ask myself, is what do I need to do to feel fulfilled and feel tapped in all the time, so that I'm not, over giving and depleting myself. Um, I started my career as a massage therapist, and I was doing a lot, like when I first started awakening to all the energetics of it, I was feeling it so much from every single person. So I had to take a time, like a quick little breathing session in between each client, of just like release what isn't mine, rebalance myself, come back to center, and then I'm ready for my next client. Versus if I hadn't taken that time, not only now do I have what my current client has brought to the table, But what my past client brought to the table, I haven't cleared that yet. So it's literally taking it can be a matter of seconds. It doesn't have to be long to cleanse and clear your energy, rebalance yourself, bring yourself back to your neutrality, your heart, your expression, and just continuing that process until that does actually get to be on autopilot. So now a lot of times I don't have to consciously think about it unless there is something that's really heavy and I start to feel it. I'm like, okay, I got to clear it. And the sooner I clear it, the better. Like the sooner I can let go of this, the better.
Yes.
Um, yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So having ways and take a moment, like you said, it doesn't take that long, but you do need that moment. You know.
Yes. Yeah. You really do need that moment. Um, and it is just finding, there were little quick words that I would say, like I release this energy, I send it back to original source with unconditional love, and that in my mind, like literally sending back through the tapestries of time, space, creation, all the way back from whence it came to the beginning, releasing it because I don't need that and they don't need it either.
Wow, that's almost like a magical spell, you
It
know?
is, yes. And that's what affirmations are too. They're magic words.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Sending it back from whence it came, sending this energy, that won't be named.
Yes, we don't need to name it. We've already felt it. We've dealt with it. It can go. Um,
I love it.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then it was kind of like having that visualization too of like sending it back through all the, if you think about it I love to think about things as we're wrapped in a spider's web, right? Like the whole universe, our whole being, everything, it's like a web-like structure, and we can send back healing through through time space realities back to the original source from where it came from. We can send this healing back, and clear out past lifetimes, clear out past patterns, clear our ancestry as well, from traumas that happened to them,
Mm.
and we're able to really clear it, and like we in this lifetime get to experience the shift.
Whoa. Whoa. So Rachel, so you're saying like self-love for yourself is like self-love, it's like love for your whole lineage.
Yes.
It reaches back, it touches everything.
Yes, it really does. And self love for me also means that I get to express love to you. Means I get to express love to my friend Andrea. It means I get to express love to not just my family, but all the families. We've co created everything. Um, and it's expressing love to all of those parts that make us us, and not denying, because I have a shadow side. I
Mm.
do. I can be the devil too. Trust, I know. And yet I still love that part of me. I
Mhm.
still love my devil side when she wants to show up, but I still offer the same love and compassion to that part of me as I do all the other parts of me.
Mm.
Or at
Yeah.
least that's the work that I am doing,
Yeah.
because it is a process. It really is.
And
I keep,
would you call that shadow work? Because I know we have names for it. Like they say, just like the moon, we all have our shadow side. You know,
yeah.
we all have that dark.
Yeah, I would say that is shadow work. I think that when we're actually able to be still with our shadow, that is where huge transformations happen, for ourselves, inside of ourselves. Because once I recognized that the monster was me,
Mm.
then I got to decide how I wanted to treat that monster. And I decided to treat that monster with love and compassion and gratitude. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry I haven't always been accepting of you. Now I kind of get you a little bit more. I get you. I understand you. And that's also part of shadow work.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. This was already so explorative. Like I had so many other questions, but I want to respect the time. Thank you so much just for coming on. Thank you for just expressing yourself the best way you know how, for your vulnerability, your testimony, and just the message, the message on self-love, self-worth, and doing it for yourself, not just for everyone else. So
Yeah,
blessing. So,
yeah.
if this was somebody's first time seeing you, they didn't know much about your services, the things that you offer, where would you like people to go to receive that? And if you can talk about it here.
That's a beautiful question. I'm currently still in the discovery phase of myself, but I do love to help and support people. So if they want to message me, Instagram is perfect, especially if that's where they're seeing it. Just send a DM. I check those periodically. So, yeah, that's about it. But I do recognize how there's a lot of, as far as my business side goes, there's a lot of growth that is still happening. I had to kind of like take a pause from it just because that's what felt right. Um, so yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah.
It's in
So,
the works.
so letting people, you're leaving it open for people to come and message you if they have questions, but everything
Yeah.
works. It's in constant evolution. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I'm very much a firm believer in if it resonates, and it's meant to, and we're meant to connect, we'll connect.
Okay.
That's how I was even as a massage therapist. Like, oh, that person didn't show up for their session? Fine. It wasn't meant to happen. Someone else filled that spot and that person connected and resonant. And yeah, that was the true thing.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely like resonance. If the words that I've spoken resonate, and you want to hear more, or if you have more questions, if this sparks something and you want to hear and learn and ask questions, I'm all for it. I'm definitely loving like explorative conversations and learning and growing. And an interesting thing for me, if I could share very
Yeah.
quickly, um, so we had set this up, right? I think like a week ago or something like that. And I'm learning this about myself and my energy, how it's actually Sunday evening. I wasn't quite able to sleep because I was already energetically here having a conversation. So I was like, okay, wait a second, what's going on? Because this actually isn't the first time that that's happened. When I connect with people, connecting energetically with them first, and then in the physical, then in the 3D, or like what we're doing here just on Instagram. So that is like, I've been able to recognize when certain people are entering my life because I get their energy signature first, and then able to meet them in the physical.
Hmm. Hmm. And you're a great transfer of energy. You transferred all that energy because it's like before when you said that there were times where you were more nervous or more soft spoken, you weren't as outspoken. But then somewhere down the line, your throat chakra opened up and you were able to express, in so many beautiful ways. You're doing that with us today. So thank you.
Well, I thank you too for inviting me on, and for asking questions that kind of just helped me just express and explore. And yeah, thank you
Yeah.
as well. This
There's
is where it is
more.
a co creation.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, the better relations with more realizations and co-creation. That's the foundation. That's what we're creating right now. And it's just a blessing to be a part of it all and to hear your story. There's so much power in your story. I mean, people feel it. You see the hearts going up. Andrea,
Yes,
your
yes.
frequency is shifting. She said, I love seeing you live. She also said, Rachel is an amazing healer, a beautiful fairy goddess sister, pure divine love embodied. Now, those are some words right there for you.
I
Yeah.
know. And Andrea is quite magical herself. I was able to meet her. I've only known her online.
Hmm.
And I was able to meet her at the beginning of this. No, well, now we're in December. So as I was traveling through, I was able to meet up with her. And oh my goodness, heart resonant for sure. Able to like powerfully feel that unconditional love connection with this beautiful sister of mine. It was an amazing experience for sure,
That's
and super like to the heart, to my core. I could feel her unconditional love and her energy as well.
that's
So she, yeah, she's amazing as well.
blessings, blessings. But just like, these wonderful encounters, like you said, if it's meant to be, it will be. If it's meant to happen,
Definitely.
I do feel like we were meant to come in contact. We were meant to meet each other. We were meant to connect and reflect. And I'm looking forward to the next time that we can hear more. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah. I know like when we first met, I was like, okay, starting a podcast maybe someday, one of these days. So maybe when I actually have one up and ready, I can invite you on and we can further the conversation and I can ask you questions and have you experience and share a little bit more. So
I'll be honored.
yeah, yeah, be
Awesome.
lovely.
Awesome. Well, take care, Rachel. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You as well.
All right. All
All
right.
right. Peace out.
Take